Welcome to the MBM Vault, live from the Media Hub on RiotRadio.ca. We're your hosts, Zach Campbell.
I'm Kim Shugobin. This show is all about music, local talent, industry news, and most importantly, fun. Today we'll be interviewing the rock band Cigar Club, specifically Tyler Booth.
Awesome. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. But for the first little segment, we're just going to talk amongst each other. Second segment, we'll bring him in. And obviously the third segment, we will continue with him. So Kim, how are you doing lately?
I'm good. How are you? Coming to the end of the semester. Pretty excited.
Doing good. We have less than a month away.
Yes.
So stress is building up a bit, but the workflow seems to be okay for now. How are you finding
Honestly,
it?
I made a little checklist of all the assignments I have left, so
That's good.
just checking them off is so just relieving, honestly.
And you have a presentation in 2 weeks.
I do. Quite nervous.
Are you prepared? Are you ready?
I mean, it's a 20-minute history presentation, so I'm doing my best.
And
But
what's your genre?
EDM.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Is there a specific part of it you're focusing on?
I'm doing the newer decades, so
Okay.
like 2000s to 2020.
Are you going to mention Daft Punk?
Oh, definitely.
Definitely.
It's
Definitely.
a key artist in every decade.
Okay. So other than school, how was your weekend? Even though it's just Wednesday now, but I don't think we got a chance to talk.
Honestly, right now, my weekends only consist of assignments.
Working.
Yeah, to be quite honest. How about you?
I try to balance out my time so I have like that mental health benefit.
Yeah.
So the work has been all right. I try to balance it because I work outside of it as a soccer coach too. So I've been all right. But as you know, as the semester is nearing, the workflow is starting to get a bit disrupted and there's a lot piling up.
I've been curious about that. Have you played soccer your whole life?
I've been playing since 3 years old, and I was on the road to play professionally. Do you know what OPDL is?
I do not.
It's the Ontario League, and I was engaged in that, but then I tore my meniscus, so I came to an end. And so since then, I've just been coaching soccer.
Yeah.
Since playing it could put me at risk, so that's where I still get to enjoy my passion.
Yeah, at least you're still involved in it.
Yes. So school-related, we have a second flashback newsletter. If you want to brief me on that quickly.
Yeah, so I'm subscribed to it. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe through flashbackdurhamcol.wixsite.com. I read through the articles. They talked about a few albums, specifically Breakthrough's last event. It was an open mic event. Jessica Brown, who's a first year, she wrote an article. It was really cool. She got some quotes from Mel, who's also in first year. So if you want to see how it was from the performer's point of view, I would go take a read. Make sure you subscribe. You'll get it through email. You can also just go through their Instagram page and subscribe through there as well.
Do you know if they're hosting any of their events soon?
Breakthrough, I haven't heard anything yet, but I'm sure our class will be the first one.
Hopefully
Yeah.
a second mic, since we talked about it last week, but
Yeah.
I missed the last open mic, so I'm definitely excited to go
It was really fun. I
check
enjoyed
out
it a lot.
another. And well, we were talking with Evan before, so I'm not an F1 person, but can you tell me a little bit about that?
I am an F1 enthusiast.
Okay.
I've got into it in the past year. I've always Cars. You know that movie? Always been one
Always.
of my favorite movies.
Which one's your favorite? Cars 1, 2, or 3?
Definitely one.
Okay.
Definitely one.
How would you rank them then? Where would you place 2 and 3?
Probably in the order it came in. 1, 2.
Really?
Yeah, I think
But 2
so.
is whatever. We're not gonna get into that.
Okay. Okay. But I've always, in the past year, I've just been keeping up with it, and I realize it's actually exhilarating to watch it. Have you ever watched it?
Not really. If it's, for example, I'll see clips on YouTube or something like that, but
Yeah.
I've never fully been into it. So, do you have a favorite car, favorite model?
Ferrari?
Ferrari?
Yeah.
Is there a specific type?
No.
No, just any Ferrari.
Any Ferrari.
Any Ferrari.
Yeah.
So before I got my first car, I really wanted a Honda Fit of all cars, but then I settled with a Mazda 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mazda. That's fancy.
Mazda. And then I got a speeding ticket
Oh.
a week ago, but we're talking about music here. So that's going to be fun to resolve.
Were you listening to music?
I was listening to music. You want to know what song I was listening
What
to
song
while it was
were you listening
happening? Don't Ya by the Pussycat Dolls when I got pulled over. So
Wow.
that was definitely an experience.
Yeah, I don't know.
So we are going to come to a music break here, but after that we're going to be interviewing obviously Tyler Booth and the Cigar Club. They are a local band from Ontario, Canada. Some of the members growing up in Newmarket, Richmond Hill, East Gwillimbury area. Tyler Booth is the drums and percussionist.
Yeah, like Zach mentioned, coming up after the music break, we'll be interviewing Tyler Booth from Cigar Club. Don't forget, you can follow us on social media at DCSA Media Hub, and you can follow Cigar Club at cigr.club.
And of course, you can follow us at MBM Vault. we're going to play some music. Here's Dark Market by Cigar Club live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca. Welcome back to the MBM Vault. I'm your host, Zach Campbell.
I'm Kim Shugobin.
And beside me is...
Tyler Booth.
Of course, from Cigar Club. So we're going to get straight into it. You want to give us a little brief description of yourself and also the band?
Yeah, sure. So I'm the drummer and percussionist in Cigar Club. Cigar Club is a band that was formed about 7 years ago with myself and the 3 other members, Dan, Jeff, and Trevor. Yeah, that's a little summary right there.
A little summary. We'll definitely dive more into it. So how did you guys end up meeting?
How did we end up meeting? Yeah, that's a good question. We met in our hometown. So it started at an open mic, actually. Dan reached out to me, and he wanted to start a band. At the time, I was playing with another band, and I didn't have a lot of time on my hands. I was at school, a lot going on. He ended up finding Trevor at that open mic, playing Gravity by John Mayer, and linked up with Jeff. He was working with Jeff, actually, and his uncle at the time. And they formed Cigar Club without me, initially. I was the original drummer that they wanted, though. And they went through a couple drummers, over a couple years. And I ended up reaching back out to them to see if there was maybe any opportunity. And it worked out. And we started creating music, and it's been history ever since.
They realized that they were missing out on the best drummer there.
I guess so. I don't know. The other drummers were really great, too. They're personal friends of mine, and I love them.
Awesome. I have a question for you. So your band name is Cigar Club?
Yes.
How did you guys come about choosing that name?
Well, I wasn't part of the consulting process of that. I think that name, from what I remember, came from their first drummer, Simon. And I think the guys, they were just in their garage jamming, trying to figure out what to call themselves. And Simon just said, "What about Cigar Club?" And I think at the time it aligned with everybody's influences and what the band was trying to be at the time, kind of blues rocky, laid back, and everybody agreed. And that's a very rare thing in our band, that everybody agrees on one thing. So,
is there a specific message that your band is trying to portray?
A specific message? I would say, keep rock music alive, keep it strong, keep it authentic. Just in our experience, and listening to mainstream radio and going through the music scene, there's a lot of bands and a lot of content out there that I feel like is trying to sell something other than what they are, or they're trying to market themselves in a way that is quick likes, quick content, and not really taking time to fully express the creation and the process of music and rock music. For us, we're trying to be different. Definitely, we're not trying to have cookie cutter structures in our songs, or trying to have people tell us, how to make our songs, or we need to structure songs certain ways because that's what the media is going to like. We just want to create something that's authentic to us.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
So you guys have released a new single called Dark Market?
Yes, Dark Market and Ocean Potion.
Ocean Potion, yes. Can you give me like a description of those songs, what they mean?
Yeah, so those 2 songs were created by our singer, Trevor. We actually have 2 main singers, Dan and Trevor. Trevor, for the most part, has been the primary songwriter on a lot of our songs. And those were 2 songs that he came up with and brought to the band almost in their entirety. So he had the whole structure ready to go. He had the lyrics. He kind of knew what they wanted, what he wanted them to be about. Dark Market is more of it's. I mean, I wish he was here to explain it, but for the most part, it's. I feel like it's a take on, there's lyrics in there about witches. There's lyrics in there about kind of like a self-loathing and walking through the city and maybe not being happy with what's going on in your life, and coming out the other side changed.
Okay, so it's kind of like the song is somewhat telling like a story, like you're setting a atmosphere.
An atmosphere. And Ocean Potion is very similar. It's kind of two sides of the same coin. It's very melancholy, sad. It's about relationships. It's about reflecting on past experiences and reflecting on yourself, and maybe what could have been. But yeah, that's my interpretation of it. I didn't write the lyrics, so I can't really give you the deep dive. But
yeah. So then, if you weren't a part of the writing process, can you give us a brief rundown of the instrumental process?
Yeah, 100%. The instrumental process for those songs, like I was saying, started with structure of the whole song. Trevor came with the whole song, and we started building on top of that layer by layer. Some of the structure changed as we progressed and figured out where the lyrics would sit. I know that from the beginning of writing Dark Market, it was definitely something special. That one main riff in there was really heavy, and it seemed very experimental at the time. And so I think we all kind of brought our expertise to the table and wanted to make it very authentic in each of our writings in that song. So for me, I do a lot of different stuff that I normally don't do on our songs. I know Jeff as well has a little bass run in there, harmonies that were slightly different, and Dan taking his guitar playing to a whole new level. In terms of Ocean Potion, that song is very chill compared to Dark Market, and that approach was just keeping it very laid back, conservative, but bringing it higher and more impactful on the choruses. And at the end, too, there's a whole section where I use this ocean drum, and it kind of represented crashing waves. Okay. And I thought it was suiting for the song Ocean Potion, and it kind of brings you to, like, if you close your eyes and you think about it, it really does sound like you're walking across like a shoreline or something like that.
And that's great.
Yeah, I listened to the song and I heard the waves in the background. I was like, wait, this is kind of...
Yeah, it's actually a drum. It's like a round drum that has beads in it.
Yeah.
And you start to move it around, and just the way that the beads make contact with the drum skin, it sounds like a wave.
That's cool. It's unlike anything I've ever heard before. So kind of moving away from that, we're all in the music program, and we learn about something called factor funding.
Yes.
I read in your bio that your band went through the process of factor funding?
We did. I think that was back in 2020 or 2019. We went through the factor process with the the artist development program. So that program helped us fund our album, Day Now. And big thanks to them. It was definitely a learning process for me. My background is not in music business, so I had no prior knowledge of what was required. I did all the research myself, and we ended up being successful and getting that grant to help us out.
And what was the type of grant, if you can remember?
So it's a artist development grant. At the time, I believe it was $2,000. Now it's a $5,000 grant.
Wow.
And you can apply to get that grant if you have released music out no longer than, I think, 2 or 3 years. So after that point, you're
Yeah,
you're
you're on
not
your own.
capable on to apply to that grant. But the process on that was, we basically had to construct a business plan of how we're going to use the money, where it's going to be allocated, and proof and documentation of that we're actually going to use the money for what we laid out in our plan, and then updating them as we went, and writing a report about where it actually went and why we made those changes and how it's impacting our career and how it's benefiting the future of the band.
Awesome. Well, thank you for talking to us there. Coming after the music break, we'll be going more in depth with Tyler sitting beside us and also Cigar Club.
Don't forget, you can follow us at DCSA Media Hub and MBM Vault.
And if you want to link your social real quick.
Yeah, Cigar Club. It's our handle is CIGR.club. That's Instagram.
Awesome.
Yes.
So we're going to play some music. Here is Soul by Cigar Club, live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca. Welcome back to the MBM Vault. We're your hosts, Zach Campbell.
And Kim Shwagobin.
And Tyler Booth.
All right. So before, we were just talking about a brief history of you in the band and getting to know you a little bit. So now we're going to start talking a little bit more future. Do you guys have any upcoming shows?
Yeah, we do, actually. This Saturday, we're playing Sudbury
Okay.
with a band called Fortunate Losers. It's their album release show. They're from Sudbury, and we played a show with them at Gusapalooza Music Festival earlier this year, and they invited us out to play in their hometown, which we're very happy for, very grateful for that. And so that's November 25th, and the next show we have this year is in Toronto at the Bovine,
Okay.
and that will be happening on December 8th with a band called Drop Top Alibi and another band called Excuses. They're actually local to Oshawa.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Cool. Maybe we can try and get them on this show then if they're
that would be
local
really
around
cool.
here.
Yeah, they're cool guys.
And what venue is the Sudbury one being held at?
It's a tavern. I think it's called the Townhouse Tavern.
Okay.
Yeah, we've never been to Sudbury before, so it's very foreign to us. We will discover how Sudbury is this Saturday.
So you mentioned you played festivals. Have you played a lot of festivals before? Is that something you guys try to...
Yeah, we try to do it, I'd say, every summer. Like, there's a festival season that happens every year. We've been getting more and more involved with local festivals in the last 3 years, I would say. Some of the stuff that we've played, Aurora Palooza, Gusapalooza, Voodoo Rock Fest. These are some of the ones that come to my head. But yeah, we try to play as much as we can. We're trying to get into new festival slots as well, to touch on new fan bases.
Do you have any past shows that you're proud of or have the most memories from?
Yeah, for past shows, the show that we just played in Toronto with this band called Ready the Prince, it was their album release show. That was an awesome show. That was at the Hard Luck. We've been following those guys for a really long time, and it just happened to work out that we were able to open for them and finally meet them. They put on an amazing show. That would be the most recent one. In terms of in our whole history, we played a show back in 2019, 2018 for North by Northeast, and that was actually curated by Ian Desaw from Billy Talent.
Oh, cool.
And so we were able to meet Ian, and Billy Talent was there. It was a really surreal experience, and we were definitely the small fish on that bill, and it changed our perception of what we had to do and what was required to continue as musicians. Those are two very memorable shows.
I have a question for you. I'm not a live performer, so how does it feel for you when you play live at the shows or the festivals?
Live performance for me it's exhilarating. I love it. It's a performance art for me. It's like I can go on stage and fully be myself, whatever that means. But it's also, too, it's kind of like, I get to prove to myself when I go on stage, like what I'm capable of doing, and it's always it's practice. It's like you know, this is what I've been practicing for, and every time I go on stage, it feels great. I get to connect with our band members, but at the same time, I get to connect with the audience, and that's a whole other level of connection. And yeah, it's great. I love playing.
So you just briefly touched upon audience. Do you have any memories or any instances where there might have been any, how do I word this? For example, like, do you know how some audience members will run up on stage and cause havoc and whatnot?
Yeah.
Do you have any stories with any audience members?
We've never had anybody run up on stage, but I do remember this one time we were playing a show in Toronto at the Great Hall. And at the end of the show, we wanted to do a merch toss into the audience. Okay. And we were there, and Dan had the shirt, and we like coordinated this thing that Dan was going to throw the shirt into the crowd and somebody was going to catch it. And the way that the Great Hall is it's all like a floor, and then there's a balcony section. And at the end of the show, Dan gets the shirt and he's like waving it in the air. He's like, "Who wants the shirt? Who wants the shirt?" And he throws it, and it just goes up into the balcony where nobody is. It was so funny.
I feel like after that there'd just be like awkward silence. The shirt's just hanging up there. Everyone's looking at it.
We ended up like grabbing it and then giving it to somebody afterwards, but it was funny.
That's such a good memorable moment, honestly.
Yeah.
So do you guys plan on traveling as a band, or you want to stay more local in like Toronto, Canada?
Yeah, we've kind of discussed this a lot. We do just like staying local, but ultimately the goal is to branch out, right? Branch out into the States, branch out to the rest of Canada, branch out into Europe, branch out as far away as we can go. We focus primarily in Toronto because we're from Toronto. We're from around Toronto, and it's just easier for us logistically to play shows there. But we do want to branch out, and we do have a lot of shows lined up outside of Toronto coming up in promotion for our new songs that we just put out.
Cool. So I actually have a personal question for you.
Yeah.
So some of my favorite movies of all time are drummer movies, which includes Sound of Metal and Whiplash. Have you watched either of those?
I haven't watched Sound of Metal, but I watched Whiplash.
And what were your thoughts on that?
Whiplash was an amazing movie in the perspective of the drummer. Mm-hmm. I think in the perspective of a musician, it was also a great movie. Yeah. That movie actually influenced me. When I was in my old band, I played in a metal band, and I watched that movie, and I was so inspired. I stayed up till like 3 o'clock in the morning writing lyrics to the song that we had wrote, but we didn't have lyrics for. And I finished it. I wrote all the melodies and stuff, and I shared it with the guys. And I don't think I would have been fueled if I didn't watch that movie to do that.
Yeah, it's a great movie. And I always remember like the final sequence where Fletcher is going like this with him, and he keeps going crazy on the oh my god, it's amazing.
It's great, like the suspense, and just it's like it's almost like an underdog movie. Mm-hmm. You know, he's not good enough, and then he just proves it all on stage that like nobody's gonna mess with him.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned you released a few new singles. Are you guys planning to go on tour or anything like that to promote those singles?
Yeah, we actually just put out a post recently. We're calling it the Dry Run Tour. And we have about 9 or 10 dates booked right now. So starting this Saturday, we're playing Sudbury, and then we're playing Toronto on the 8th of December. Going into January, we're playing Toronto, Hamilton, Barrie, Oshawa, Peterborough, Niagara, and
That's awesome.
Hamilton. Did I already say Hamilton?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a bunch of spots from January into March. Yeah, it's going to be great.
And along with that tour, I know you guys just dropped the 2 new singles.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any talk or anything in the works for a new EP or album coming out?
Yes, definitely. These songs, we haven't announced it, but these songs are part of a larger project that we have been working on. We've been playing some of the shows, or some of the songs in our live shows, but we haven't really promoted them yet, besides Dark Market and Ocean Potion. But they're coming. They're definitely coming.
Considering you guys are a band, and I know that Whiplash personally inspired you, is there any specific artists that may inspire you and your band members?
Yeah, I'll start. I don't want to speak for the guys. I'll speak for me. I'm really influenced by 70s rock. So I like Led Zeppelin. I like blues rock around that era. I grew up listening to that type of music. Really instrument focused, musician focused. But I also love 90s music, especially like the grunge scene of the 90s. And I'm into modern rock as well. Some bands that come to mind, like Crownlands. I also like Reddy the Prince. That's one of the bands we played with. What's that band? Royal Blood. Royal Blood.
I think I've actually heard of them.
Yeah, Royal Blood. They're a great band. But yeah, I'm influenced by a lot of music, but primarily I like the 90s and 70s stuff.
Okay.
I know the guys in our band as well. They are influenced by that type, but each one of us has like a specialty almost. Like I'm more into the heavier stuff. Trevor's more into the folkier stuff. Jeff's he's more well-rounded, but he likes to play a lot of funk sometimes. And Dan's like really like blues at heart.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
I feel like that's such a cool dynamic to watch you guys make music and you all kind of have like different inspirations.
Yeah, it's sweet when it all comes together and it works out. Not so much when it doesn't work out because, everybody's trying to pull in one direction. But when you find that common ground, it really is special.
Do you guys typically get along, or is there like often altercations?
I think nowadays we typically get along.
Yeah.
I think we learned that being in a band is like being in a family where you're not going to agree. You may not even like each other for a majority of the time, but you have to learn how to live with each other. And you also need to be very empathetic and understand that this is just another person who's trying to do the same thing that you're trying to achieve. And, everybody's commitment and opinions matter. And sometimes that's hard when you're in a room and you're not getting your way and you take things personally, right? Like it's happened to me, it's happened to all of us. But for the most part, yeah, it's great.
So I've got one last question for you here. We were talking about how you and your band members like different things, correct?
Yes.
I know you guys are a rock band, but would you guys consider branching out and trying maybe another genre, or are you guys going to specifically stay rock?
I think we'll definitely stay rock, but in terms of what type of rock that is, that's questionable. I would say some of the new songs we're working on are a little bit more progressive in a sense, but there's also very bluesy stuff. So you got blues rock, you got progressive rock, you have hard rock, and but I don't think we would ever change the rock aspect of our
that's
music.
who you guys really are.
Yeah, we might do softer stuff. Like we've been kind of talking about maybe doing some acoustic things, some softer like folkier stuff, but it hasn't really picked up. But I think we are all interested in evolving our sound over time and not sticking to one, formula.
Is there any final words you want to give us or the audience before we close out this show?
I would say stick to your dreams. Continue working as hard as you can. Nobody's going to give you what you want. You have to go out there yourself and put in the work, make friends, and enjoy the process.
Very inspirational. Almost shed a tear there. All right. Well, that is the end of our show for today. We look forward to seeing you back here next week.
Don't forget, you can follow us at DCSA Media Hub at MBM Vault.
And also the Cigar Club at CIGR.club. Here's Like White Flats and Winter by Cigar Club, playing us out live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca.